you guys want to actually know the story of how Adilas even got involved in sort of medical marijuana industries? It's kind of a funny story. We had a bunch of car dealerships all around the state of Colorado, and one of them was in Montrose. And in 2008, everything dropped, like everything dropped. Their sales plummeted by 75%. And the store that was in Montrose, they decided, they're like, Adilas is really starting to grow, maybe we'll push on this instead of trying to follow and chase the car business. So they started making an exit strategy, and as part of that, the location that they had in Montrose, Colorado, ended up coming up for lease. And an MMJ person came in and said, hey, we'll take up that real estate. And so they came in, they had a cash register, it was totally paper, totally everything, and Steve was trying to make the deal for the lease to go through, and he's like, we got a system that might be able to help you out and do this and this. That's how we got even involved with the medical marijuana industry. It's kind of funny. It was basically them transitioning out of the car industry towards a full-on Adilas and somebody taking up the lease in that building location. So that's kind of the random story, if you will, but it's kind of funny how we got involved in that. So awesome. We had a question from online dealing with inventory tracking. And as far as I know, just to make sure that we're all on the same page, what would you guys say if you wanted to check your inventory as far as like your quantities or what's where? I am not sure if the company that's asking, they're actually a distributor, so they have energy drinks. And so they have product all over the place, warehouse A, B, C, D, E, F, G type thing. They want to know, like, okay, where is all that product at, okay? Where would you send them? Those of you who have done some inventory searches, where would you send them at?
I'd go to the MMJ homepage items.
Okay, so you'd go to your parts homepage basically, and then where would you go?
I'd go into search grouped MMJ item inventory counts.
Okay. This kind of is your general look of everything that's kind of associated with this type of thing, okay? So here's your categories, here's your vendors, here's your unique items, and here's your total quantities. That's a great way to do it. You can even go show hide search criteria, and you can even specifically say, I just would like to see what I have in my dispensary, please. Click. So basically, it'll group everything that it can and just find what's in that particular thing, and all of a sudden you have, here's your clones, your cloths, your drinkables, your edibles, etc., etc. And if you needed to go down deeper, you would do what we call a drill down. Click. And then basically you can see your different little pieces of what's going on there as far as actual, what your quantities are or what is going on in that type of a level. You can also quickly see which ones are potentially out of whack, negatives and positives, and some of those different things as well. You can come in here. Oh, looks like we have one under wellness products, 212 of the different little pieces that they had going on. Okay, that's a great way to search it. Okay, so basically what she did was she went from here. She said, from the home page, I'm going to go to my items or parts homepage, and then she recommended that you go into the search grouped, which basically kind of combines everything together. It's kind of a generic look and feel. And here's kind of an overall look of where all the different pieces are. Okay, you can specify by location. If you needed the individual pieces, here's another one that is very commonly used. It's called printable, the printable list. So you click here, and then you'd literally go like this. You'd say, hey, I'm going to do all vendors, and I just want my flour. Go get it. Click. It's a very simple little report, but it'll tell you exactly what you're associating with what. Okay, this is a play site. Some of the things have been totally kind of pulled here and sold here and done whatever. But this is kind of your general pieces. That's what I would kind of recommend for them as far as quick ways to get at their inventory counts. Awesome. We had a couple other questions regarding returns and credits and invoice transfers. As far as the whole process, that's where we kind of started right after lunch. Does anybody have questions on that? Remember how we did a Microsoft Word document and we said, what's our category, what's our vendor, what items are we going to get in? And we brought in at least 2 POs of that type of fashion, okay? We didn't actually sell those pieces out other than we kind of attached them to buttons and some different things. Did you guys want to see how you would actually sell those pieces out, or would you like to go into the credits and returns? or a transfer. So say you have multiple locations and you physically want to say from storage area A to storage area B, kind of keeping track of all your different pieces moving around.
Yeah, let's fill it out and then maybe credit or
Okay,
return it.
okay. I was looking back there and I saw a couple of them going, I'd like to kind of see how to move some product around, okay? Now, as a lot of you that are in the MMJ industries, if you're dealing with grows, what happens there is you're dealing with POs that technically are not live yet. They're still in that request mode. So you're physically not moving real live inventories around. You're just saying you're flipping the location on that, which is basically a virtual tracking through the different pieces. When you physically have items, and it's no longer under the request status, you actually use the invoice tool to do a transfer, okay? What you literally do is you basically say, I'm basically transferring from this location to this location, and it's done on a transfer invoice so that the whole thing kind of correctly coordinates itself, alrighty? Any questions on that? I'm going to do one. I'm going to do one to kind of show you how to do a transfer, okay? First off, let's go find some items. So I'm going to go right back to where we were at. And I'm going to go to this group one right here. And we're just going to find one that has some decent items in it and kind of see where they are located at. Let's, so here's some edibles. And let's go to our, actually let's go under our gummies because these are the ones that we kind of created, okay? So right here, I'm going to click on this. And I'm going to actually see where these are assigned. Okay, and they're right here. I can see that I have a total quantity of 65 and 50. And right now, if I actually went into this particular location, if I come here, I can actually see, hey, this was the DD, so all from the dispensary area. What if I actually had another location and I wanted to move some of these? So I currently have 65 in my DD location, which is my dispensary, okay? What if I actually wanted to move these into a safe or a vault or something like that? What I would do is I would basically say, I'm going to go from, let me see what they have for locations. Let me just check real quick. So currently it's in the DD, the Denver dispensary right here. Where would I want to move some of these to? And this is just kind of a fictitious move, but I just wanted to show you how to do the move.
Let's move it to the Highland Mills dispensary.
Okay, great. So from DD to DHM. Alrighty, perfect. So here's what we would do. I'd go home, and I would say we have to start a new cart, basically, because this is going to use the invoice tool. So I'm going to go to invoice homepage, and I'm going to say create a new cart. There's lots of different ways. If you use quick search, you can do this. So I'm going to go like this. The main one is from the Denver dispensary, and I'm actually going to do a transfer. Okay. I'm going to click go ahead. Now it wants to know where is it going to. And so this is where you would actually say, hey, we're actually going to Highland Mills. Start the cart. So what this does is that automatically, instead of assigning a customer to the cart, it basically says, hey, look, I don't have any customer information, but look, I'm doing a special transfer from here to here. Okay. So now what I would do is I would basically come in here and I would say, I would go find my actual products. And say I had, it gave me 46 records. If this is like, oh my goodness, I don't want to search through this, I could easily go like this as well. Let's put this just in the gummy category. Search that. That's much easier to look at, okay? So I just kind of filtered a little further. So right now, here's my 65. Now, when I make a transfer, how many do we want to send over to the other location? 30? Okay. We'll go 30, and I'll hit add. What it did behind the scenes is it basically is going to grab 30, and it's, so I'm pulling 30 out of inventory. I'm going to push 30 into inventory on the different locations as far as where they're at, okay? If this is all I'm transferring, I could literally go check out. No money is actually changing hands, so I could go 0 cash or 0 internal. So I'll go 0, and I'll just say this is an internal, and I'll say click, create that invoice. So technically right now, from DD to DH, I actually took 30 out, and I put 30 into the other location just by doing a simple little piece like that. What I want to do is I want to actually show you, we're going to actually go look at the usage, I'm going to go into the Edit Line Items page, and I'm going to go down and actually click on the physical item itself. So here's the item that we are, and it's currently saying, hey, I've got 35 in Denver and 30 in Highlands Mills. So we literally transferred it just because of the location factor of that type of thing. So that makes it quite slick. You can also go into usage and tell exactly when that actually happened. Like those numbers that were outside, that's just your general counts, but your usage page will actually tell you what happened where were things going, et cetera, et cetera. You can also search it by location so that you can kind of tell exactly what's going on. Here's the different little pieces. So here's where it actually hit my Highlands Mill right here on this particular invoice, which was 1416. And 1416 was also from DD. So I had 30 coming out, 30 going in on a transfer invoice that physically moved product around. Yes?
Okay, so I got my last RFID tag of a half pound of Blue Dream.
Okay.
And I've sold on that and sold on that and sold, and I'm down to where I've got like 1.85 grams left in that jar. I want to switch it over to the location called joints.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so do I need, so our location is our center, another location would be joints.
Okay.
I think that's an internal build, and it's a little bit different, but it's essentially
Okay, that's the
very
internal bill. Okay.
exactly. And I'll show you how to do joints, especially with the mitts now that it's a bit different. So what we were doing before was doing an internal build where it actually was taking the cannabis and putting it into a section called shape.
Yeah.
So now you can still do all the same things, and I'll show you how to do that within Adilas, but as far as the mitts goes, instead of, it's 3-part process in Adilas, it should only be 2 in mitts, or else it'll be really expensive, because you actually have to use plant tags, and so you have to actually order package tags for your storefront for the shape, for transferring joints. Because every time you make joints, it then becomes a package tag full of joints. So, because what you're doing is you're taking it from the cannabis and you're putting it into joints. You want me to show you an internal build really quick?
Sure. Are you guys okay with that? Okay. I am so grateful for Kate kind of coming and playing. I can tell you how to do Atlas in a general sense of the word. Right, left, and square, and center, and all that kind of stuff. This young lady has been in the industry, and she kind of knows how she uses it, and that really helps to help you guys type thing. So I am very grateful for it.
So,
Did you have a question? I thought I saw another question.
No,
Yeah.
it's got my hand on it here.
Okay. You're good. You're good.
okay, so an internal build. So essentially we'll go again into the invoice homepage and create a new cart. And so instead of doing a transfer, we're doing an internal build.
Okay.
So we're in our dispensary.
Okay, so hang on just a second. Internal builds, usually you're going to be in the PO section instead of in the invoice section. If you're actually doing a build PO, like an internal build.
Oh yeah, I'm so sorry.
See, just for example, she was on the invoice side and she said an internal repair. That is technically, we used to use that tons when we were in the auto industry. You'd have a trailer and it needed a new jack and some lights and stuff like that. You'd be like, okay, trailer, you're going to be my customer now instead of an actual patient. It's going to be a physical item, and I'm going to go take pieces from my inventory and install it on this bigger ticket item. That way its price would kind of inflate, if that makes sense, its cost. So that's what an internal repair is.
Then I've been doing it wrong this whole time because I've always done it as an invoice as far as the cannabis goes.
Oh, I'd love to see how you do it. The thing is see where it says stock number right up there?
Mm-hmm.
It basically is like, okay, which big ticket item, and it might be that you've actually named your invoices differently. Like you can name some of your, there's 2 different invoices, like a patient invoice, and then there's a whole other different type of invoice, and if you wanted to, you can actually name it. You may have actually named it some sort of internal type deal.
Do you want to do this really fast so that I can listen to what you're saying?
I do a lot of internal builds, just when you're doing bulk weight to joints and stuff like that, on that as well. So,
Awesome. Do you want to show us how you do internal?
try.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I'm
I do
curious how you do
it
it.
every single day, so.
Now you got me all wondering if I screwed stuff up in our system. I'm sorry?
That was the last part, that was going to be part of the group button.
You can create a button specifically for joints. It's separate. The joints, the buttons, back to the buttons, those are for you guys, for your business, for your bud tenders mostly, so that they can just expedite bringing in things. That's not necessary. As far as the actual conversions of cannabis to joints, this is the process.
Okay.
So it's 100% separate. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you.
No, I see what you're saying.
So to do an internal build, you have to be in the PO homepage, which is, I'm going to go to the classic chooser because that one's the easiest one for me as well. Your PO homepage is under, oh, gotta hit something first. System liabilities, PO homepage, go. Create new PO, or you could have done her shortcut and just gone to PO and hit new. What was the name that we were using? Moose or
Yeah, Moose.
Moose. Create new PO, and your PO type. It's a basic live will be an internal build, and then your location, if it's in if it's in your vault or if it's in your cure room or anything like that. Then you would just, your notes, you would just be like bulk conversion, bulk weight conversion to joints. Your PO amount, I never put anything there at all. Yes, the items are physically in my possession. Add PO. And then say you have, what do we have, Blue Dream?
Sure.
So Blue Dream, we'll search for Blue Dream and see how we have that. We'll add Blue Dream as a basic line item. And how much do we want? Say we want, we'll just
The
say
initial quantity received, and I'm just trying to get rid of that 1.85 grams in the jar. We can round up, call it 2.
Okay.
So hang on just one second. This is what I would recommend, and I'm not exactly sure, but often when you're doing an internal build, if you're going to go grab raw product, you actually, because you're on the PO site, you say negative 2.
I missed that part as well. So if you have, say we have, what'd you say, three joints or something like that we want to do, and those are at 3 grams a piece. So we have -3.
Okay.
You'll put in, and that will actually pull from your bulk, your inventory that you already have set up, and then you just do another line item, say joints, which I don't know if it'll be in here, but if it's not, we'll add it. So you do joints, half gram joints is in here. Shake joint, we'll just do that. Add as a basic line item, and that is where you put your actual quality, which is what would we have, say?
5 joints.
5.
So did you see how we said -3 is coming out of my inventory, and then I'm going to create a +5. So this is going to kind of help that whole inventory process happen.
I'm glad you showed us, because the way I do it is way more complex and too much work. This is going to save me time.
And this automatically, so you already have, say in your warehouse inventory, you already have 6,500 some grams of Blue Dream. Then when you do your internal build, you do your first line item of the strain that you want to pull from your bulk. So we pulled 3 grams out of our main inventory to roll 5 joints, and that'll automatically put 5 joints in your inventory, and it'll pull 3 grams from your main inventory of your Blue Dream.
Correct.
This is brilliant. This is, sorry, go ahead.
If you need to, like, see where the RFID package tag, say you still needed to record that 3 grams needed to come from a certain package, you would just click edit, and you would just hammer that in right there. Okay. This 3 grams came from package XYZ, okay? But I'm going to roll it into these joints that are on 5 new joints type thing.
Well, that was part of my concern, was what to do with the RFID and the med and NITs, all looking at this and going, wondering if I'm like something slipped,
Sure. This is how you do it.
It will pull the internal builds as well. So by associating the plant tags with the cannabis you're pulling from, say you took your 1.85 of Blue Dream plus 3 grams just to clean up your marijuana, now you've got 4.5, it's going to actually read your internal build and send it into MITS and deduct that from your medical cannabis, the
From
plant tag.
From that tag.
Exactly.
As
And
long
then
as
what
you
it-
enter that tag right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then all you have to do is then create a new package tag that was joints. And that's where I was saying,
So
instead of,
you use the 25-cent tag.
so I would do it on a weekly basis just to kind of make it so that you're not rolling joints on a daily basis and using its plant tag every day, spending $4 a week rolling joints.
Yeah, I got you. Now, the funny thing is, from a sales side, when I sell an eighth, I include a half-gram joint. And so that's going to be a real nightmare to pull marijuana from one strain or another and then have.
Well, and that's where your smart buttons come in, because you can literally make a button that's your joints, and if you're throwing it in there and you have your cost associated, the penny, you can literally just click it, it'll automatically throw that joint onto your thing for you, and the package tag will be associated with joints. So those joints that you rolled up until you run out of them, they're all going to pull from that same package tag. So that's where the buttons come into play. It's just making it so that you can do that, and there's still another option that joints are $5, and they get sold as $5 unless otherwise specified by you guys.
Okay, gotcha.
So would that be the same as we would use it for the nicotine oil?
So bold, yep.
30 ml bottles, and we sell 10 ml bottles?
Okay.
And we pull those out of the big ones for the small ones?
Correct,
You do that same
So
thing?
her scenario would be very similar to this. Internal build, okay, call it to yourself as the vendor, meaning the connect, and you say, I need one big giant 30 ml bottle, okay, -1 of the big bottle. And then it's going to actually create 10 of the smaller remaining bottles. And you just basically flip flop your inventory. You went from giant to teeny. You went from giant to teeny just by doing the internal build. And all of a sudden, you look at your inventory and say, oh, I have one less giant bottle, but I now have 3 more smaller bottles.
So it's nothing like she said, do it like maybe once a week.
So
That's,
sometimes I have
that's,
sometimes it's not.
you know what, it
And I
depends
mean,
on your
the
industry,
joint
what
shake,
you're
that's kind
doing.
of how I
If
do
you're
our
breaking things, I
clean as
would
well.
break it when
If
it
I know
happens.
that it's the bottom of the jar,
I would
I
break it
will
when it
literally
happens.
see what my system says. If I say have
So are they
2.5
able
grams
to
in
do
my
that,
system,
don't ask the
it's 2. I
sales
put
part, or would you have to go
it's
back to me?
spillage.
Yeah.
Totally, and it keeps my books clean, and it's,
Yeah,
as long as
if
it's
they're
not
up there and all of a sudden
crazy,
you
crazy,
just have a
everybody's
big bottle and they're like,
about
oh,
10.
let's do this. Like,
Yeah.
depends on how you want to do it. Technically,
Your joints
you didn't have to track the
when
package
you do your
tag.
packages,
Like
they don't have to be
I'm going
super
to sell this out the door to
specific.
customer
Joints
needs.
can be,
Oh no, now I need to kind
you
of.
can be like, I have
Make sure
3,000
the system
joints,
knows
they're all
what
under this
It
package
will
tag.
let you sell negative like that for a minute. It doesn't hurt it, okay? But you eventually want to do that.
So if she comes out of the big one, she has to
Yeah,
get
it's
a
full.
million 10
Or
mil,
is it
and then
Okay.
then she sells the 10 mil, it'll pop into the other one.
If she just kind of do it at the same time.
Oh, no, that was
Okay,
great.
so what I would do is would not.
That's your help, guys.
Yeah, that's huge. Thank you.
Help us with your name. I got you.
Randy.
What's that? Randy. Why was I thinking D? I was thinking Wayne or something like that. Randy, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That would be just in time, okay? Like if you leave it up there, just track it in the big bowl. If you're physically making it so it's already pre-made, that's when you're doing an internal build. If you're just saying, hey, I added 10 mil of this, that's just a quick 10 mil gone, 10 mil gone, 10 mil gone. Like you do it until it all runs out. I would not do that. But if you're trying to make itsy bitsy teeny bottles to put on the shelf, that's where you do an internal build.
Okay, no, normally it's.
No, they just in time.
Because they pick all these different flavors, and they'll say, well, give me 10 of those, you know,
Yes,
smaller.
do it just in time though. That does not require the build process, okay?
Okay.
The build process is I'm robbing real inventory to make something else. Okay? Like for instance, taking their hash and the different stuff and actually rolling those into joints. They're taking other products and creating something new.
Yeah.
But if they just had a big old jar and they're like, oh, you want this much? Oh, you want this much? You could just do it that much and just sell out how much you're selling. Okay? That's what you guys are doing. Just do it just in time. Just in time like you're doing. Awesome. You guys, there's been some great questions. You guys have had excellent questions. Good stuff.
Sorry, I'm seeing if this will work.
You have another inventory question.
No? Go ahead.
It's actually a different industry though. So there's someone that's wondering if you could show an example of keeping inventory that does not transfer to an invoice. So if they have 1,000 bags of plaster, and they just used 20, and then they used 100, and to keep track of their supplies. But not.
Okay. And that they're not actually putting them on an invoice?
That's what he said, that they don't transfer to an invoice. But I would guess it would go into his services.
Okay. So it depends on how they're actually, like, you can tell that there's some accounting back here. Ooh, what about cost of goods sold?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have to think about that. It kind of depends on what they're trying to do. Now, is this Drew with the
Yep.
cool stuff?
Yep.
Okay. So he basically, what I would do if I was Drew, and he's trying to keep an inventory account, but he's not trying to actually physically associate those, what he's going to do to cover his cost of goods sold, he's going to say, 30 bags of plaster, I'm going to expense this off right now, okay? He's going to expense it off, and then he's just going to run his bids saying, hey, this is $4,000 to do your job, okay? He may use more or less of the plaster type thing. I would actually track that completely separate. Instead of running it on Adilas, I would actually say, grab a quick little spreadsheet. Because it's not actually being pulled through, I would actually recommend a spreadsheet in that instance. He needs to expense his stuff off and then just do his bids and jobs for a big dollar amount. It all comes out in the wash by the time you're done with the financials. That's how I would recommend that.
He said, great, thank you.
Okay, so now that we have done that, I have a cord that will plug my computer into screens, but I don't like, it's more of like a TV, so I don't know if the USB thing would fit, and I'd be happy to bring that tomorrow if we wanted to kind of see how MITS and Adilas talk to each other.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. So.
All right, so let's see.
Where the lack of.
What should I do?
Awesome. So that was great on the internal build. Is there any other questions on that? And we just did it very simple on that first thing. It was a -3 of XYZ, and then we created 5 of the positive. So that was a negative and a positive. Ingredients and output is kind of how we would technically do it. You can technically mix and match all kinds of stuff. Negative, 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 and I'm going to create 1 positive or whatever it might be.
Right. Well, that's generally how I do it.
Correct, correct. So you can be mixing and blending all that kind of stuff together. The important thing is, because it is on a PO, if you're actually tracking those tags, make sure that it's on those line items when you're pulling the negative of your leftover Blue Dream. Make sure that it has that package tag coming in, just so that when we actually look at the amounts, you can actually say, I sold 10, and 3 of them went over here on to make this other stuff. Just so you can kind of, where's it going? What's the story behind it?
Like, we already very well know where that 3 went.
Correct, correct. So just kind of tell the story a little bit.